video in this series. In the first video, we made this little thing right here that shows our ones as red and everything else in green. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this 2D array and we're going to rotate it 90 degrees at a time. All right, so let's make another method to do that. Public void rotate. Inside rotate, we'll need again the double for loop. So for int I equals 0, I is less than array.length I plus plus. For int j, because I is in use array, equals 0, j is less than array I dot length j plus plus. All right, and to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to swap different values within these rows and columns. Now, that's where you have to make your choice. Are you going to swap the columns at first, or are you going to swap the rows? For instance, if you're swapping the rows, I'd be saying I'm going to swap this with this, I'm going to swap this with this, and this with this. You might have noticed that what that would do is it would give you a 270 degree clockwise rotation. That's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is a 90 degree rotation. And to do that, we'll want to swap the values within the columns. So this would go here, this would go here, and this would go here, and so on. So we'll do just that. We'll need to use a pretty normal code snippet for making a swap like that. So int temp equals, we could start with ij. So we'll need like kind of the opposite of this. This is I and j. So at first that would be this value. If we're on this column, it means we need to get the opposite value, which is this. If we're here, it means we need this. If we're here, we need this. This is 2 plus the beginning value, and this is 2 less than the ending value. So we can use the I value for that. Array ij. But this value we've already saved in temp, so we don't need it anymore. That's going to equal array.length minus I minus 1. Why minus 1? Well, that's because this is 0 indexed, right? Even though this is length 10, the last value is 9. And then we're going to subtract out the I just because of what we talked about before. All right, the last part is now this value, we have it saved. We don't need it anymore. We can take that and we can replace it with temp. Now, this does swap it. But if I go to main and I use that code, myArray.rotate, and then I view the array again, you'll notice nothing has happened. See that? It's in the same spot. Or has something happened? Actually, what went on is this got swapped with this correctly. This got swapped with this correctly. And this with that, and this with that, and so on. But it kept going, and then it continued. So everything swapped back. That's the problem here. We can fix that problem by dividing the length here by 2. All right? And we can see that right now. All right, you can see our swap now works. Now, let's comment this out and make up the code for if we want to now swap the rows, right? You'll need to get rid of this. I'll be over here. If you have them both together, you'd get some very weird results because it would only be going halfway through the entire thing. And we'll use similar code. Int temp equals array I j. Array ij, that's the value we don't need anymore, equals, equals array I, and now j is the one that we're going to swap. So this is going to be array.length, array I.length, we should do it correctly, array I.length minus I minus 1. Now that we don't need this value anymore, we can replace it with temp. So similar code, right? Instead of doing the columns, we're doing the rows. Let's see that. Ooh, we have a problem, so let's see what's going on. Array ij equals array I, array I.length minus I minus 1 minus j. All right, see that? And the problem is this is the same, so array I.length, array j. Okay. Let's do it. Good. And you can see it does work now. Okay? We get those 3 values over here. All right, so the final thing is that the problem is we first of all want to swap the columns, and then we want to swap the rows. So we'll need to keep track of the fact, are we on the columns at the time or are we on the rows? I can do that with a Boolean. Swap columns equals true, meaning that do we want to swap the columns now or do we want to swap the rows? If this is true, it means it's time for us to swap the rows. This is code for swapping the rows. So I'm going to uncomment this. And right here, I'll say if swap columns, and we also want to make sure that I is less than array.length divided by 2, right? Same code that we were using up here before. And I'll take this out for now. But inside there, I'll just put all this code. All right. And actually temp, I can store, just save a little memory. I'm in temp, I can store it like that, and then temp will equal here, and here the same thing. And for this one, just want if not swap columns and now j is less than array I dot length divided by 2. And let's see that, and put that in there. At the very end of all of this, we'll have to swap the rows and columns. So right at the end of this, swap columns equals not swap columns. And I think we'll be a bit better if we just call view array inside of here, so we don't have to keep typing in both of them. So view array, great. Now when I go back to main, I can take out this view array, which is nice, and this rotate function, I can just call it 4 times. Let's see, let's say, and let's see if it worked. So these 3 are over here, you see? Then they're over here. Then they're over here. Then they're over here. And they go back to the beginning. So it seems to be working. I hope this video helped you understand 2D arrays. In the next video, we're actually going to work with some 3D arrays in 3D space, and we'll do even more transformations on those.